All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Thanks to everyone for joining today. My name is Rebecca Andrucci. I work in the Sustainability and Resiliency Unit at the Connecticut Department of Transportation. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of where we're at with the NEVI program and talk a bit about our recently opened requests for proposals for fast charging stations in the state. So if you're here live, welcome. After the presentation, we'll have an opportunity to go through questions and answers that you may have. If at any point during the presentation you want to ask a question, you can do so through the Q&A box. If you have any questions that you think of later on, feel free to send me an email at CT-DOT-EV-planning@ct.gov. And we will get that answered and included in our Q&A document that will go along with our RFP. And please visit our project webpage. The NEVI homepage is available. I keep it as up to date as I can with whatever latest information is happening with NEVI. Okay, this is just the Q&A box. Feel free to send over questions at any point during the presentation, and we will do our best to answer them at the end. The question period is open through September 27th, so if you just need some more time to think about your question, you'll have time to ask me afterwards through email. This is our Title VI notice to the public. The Connecticut Department of Transportation operates its programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Any person who believes she or he may have been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with the CTDOT. This slide shows the directions on how to file a Title VI complaint. So the agenda for today's meeting, I'll start by giving a short overview of what NEVI is, talk a bit about the RFP and the application procedure, go into the evaluation and selection process for applications, and then give our timeline and next steps. So Connecticut has been given $52 million from the Federal Highway Administration to operate the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program over the next 5 years. This comes out of EJA, and we will be administering the funds through a grant program. So Federal Highway Administration has designated alternative fuel corridors in each state that we are working to fully built out with direct current fast charging stations. In Connecticut, our alternative fuel corridors are I-94, I-91, I-95, I-395, and Route 7. In order to utilize these federal funds, we have to create a yearly update to our NEVI plan. So we're working on this right now. It gets submitted to the Federal Highway Administration every August. And the plan serves as a look back on what was done the previous year and preparing for how we're going to use funds in future years. Whoa. Sorry about that. Oh no. Okay. Oh, I guess we're not going to look at slide 7. Sorry about that, everyone. Oh, here we go. Okay. So we just finished up phase 1. That was our first RFP, which was open from January 29th to March 15th. Through that, we made 12 conditional awards across 12 sites. Right now, we've made those conditional awards. We are working through getting the contracts executed and funding fully secured for those projects. Since we have not reached fully built out status yet for the alternative fuel corridors, which means we have to put stations every 50 miles, we're releasing these supplemental RFPs in order to fill those gaps. So the ultimate goal is for us to reach phase 2 with stations located every 50 miles. And then after that, we can use funding for chargers anywhere across the state rather than restricted to just alternative fuel corridors. So that brings us to where we are. So just a little refresher on, oh, perfect. Thanks, Emily. So Connecticut is providing 80% of the eligible costs to install EV chargers across our alternative fuel corridors. And we're required to follow Part 680 of the Code of Federal Regulations for these chargers. They have specific National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Standards. So in there, we're required to have 4 direct current fast charging ports, which are capable of charging 4 EVs simultaneously. Each port has to deliver at least 150 kilowatts of power at minimum. It must include 4 permanently attached CCS connectors, and they may also include NACS connectors. So that's the new Tesla J3400 charge port. The stations must be publicly accessible 24/7, 7 days a week, and have 97% uptime. So this is just a few of the regulations that we're required to follow. Please reference the CFR 680 for all of the other requirements. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a map of our alternative fuel corridors. And so that's these highways and Route 7 as well. Stations will need to be 1 drivable mile off of any exit ramp on any of these alternative fuel corridors. Something that's different this round is we don't have any priority zones, so we're opening applications to any exit across these interstate highways or state routes. We've gotten some questions about what the 1 drivable mile means. So 1 drivable mile is measured from the end of the off-ramp to the driveway of the proposed site address. So this is an example of one site that we're working under a conditional award where we've taken the measurement off of that exit off of 395, and then it is 0.8 miles away from the start of the driveway to the business where the chargers will be located. So we understand that some exit ramps are incredibly long, so it does not include the whole length of the exit ramp, and it does not include some of the long driving distances that you might have in the middle of a shopping plaza. It's just to the start of the driveway for that business. So we'll be accepting proposals from a variety of different entities, and those include businesses, government agencies, individuals, and tribal organizations. We just want to specify that partnerships are highly encouraged. You don't necessarily need to be the site owner to submit for an application, as long as you have a site host agreement in place or in process. We are more than happy to have that. And if you are the site owner and you maybe have never done this before, don't have any experience installing EV chargers, we encourage you to reach out to companies or consultants who do this type of work. We found that they'd be happy to put together a proposal for you so that you don't have to figure that all out yourself. Just to highlight some of the changes from previous rounds, or some of the more important things that we just want to bring attention to. So this round, there is no letter of intent requirement. Phase 1, we had this pre-application requirement in order to submit for the RFP. That does not exist. Anyone can submit for the RFP. We don't have priority zones like I talked about before, so any exit off of any AFC is eligible. We've added something called a land use context to the core criteria. And this is something that we had in the bonus criteria before, where we asked if there was food, beverage, or restrooms nearby or on the property. We found from a lot of EV drivers across the state that they are interested in choosing EV charging stations that have these amenities. So while it's not a requirement that you have food, beverage, or restrooms on site, we are asking whether or not you do, and if so, it will give you points towards your application. We have created a frequently asked questions document that we've included as Appendix C, that is new. We've put together a list of all the questions that we've been asked throughout the past couple of RFPs to hopefully answer some of the more common questions that we've gotten. This is not new, but we just want to highlight that upgrades to existing stations are eligible. If you have a level 2 station already and you'd like to upgrade it to a level 3, that's an eligible expense. Or maybe you have just 2 ports for fast charging and you'd like to upgrade to 4 to become NEVI compliant. We welcome that as well. Operations and maintenance is required for a 5-year period following the opening of the station, but is not an eligible expense. And that's just because Connecticut wants to prioritize the construction cost to spread the benefit across as many applicants as possible and open as many stations as possible with our limited amount of funding. This is a reimbursement-based grant. So we need to make sure that our applicants have the ability to cover the costs up front before they submit to us for reimbursement. So that's some of the information that we ask for in the financial component of the application. We want to make sure that you're in a good financial place and can cover those expenses before being reimbursed. And we anticipate awarding approximately $20 million this round across the state. So same as the last couple RFPs, the application is available on CT Source. This is the bid portal that the entire state of Connecticut government uses to post RFPs. So you'll find the link. Everything's available on our NEVI homepage, but we can try to get these links out to you in the chat. I can send those towards the end, and I'm sorry, Emily is driving my presentation, so she can't do this. But the link is available on our NEVI website. So the application procedure is here. There's a couple of instruction documents on how to create an account with CT Source and respond to a bid. But once you do create the account with CT Source, you'll see this search function, and you can search the RFP number, which is 23999, and that will bring up the current NEVI Phase 1B RFP. And this is where you'll be able to download all the documents and upload your response to the RFP. The application procedure, in the CT Source portal, you'll see several documents that are available for you to download. So besides the RFP itself, we've put together a template application form, and that's Appendix A. So you'll find everything that you need to fill out to submit for your application. We've provided these as a Word document so that you can put it into whatever template you like. We don't mind, as long as all the information is there. You can format it however you like. Okay, some of the other required materials that are included are the these federal and state forms, so we'll need you to fill these out and complete them, submit them back with your application. And you'll also find Appendix B, which is a sample grant agreement. This is not yet the finalized grant agreement. We are still working with the Attorney General's office to get that finalized, but it just will give you an idea of the types of terms and conditions that you will be agreeing to. And you'll also find Appendix C, which is that frequently asked questions document for you to reference some of the common questions that we've gotten. So your application will be reviewed in 3 different buckets. First is the initial criteria. These are all yes/no questions or brief descriptions of your project. We want to make sure that the site is within 1 drivable mile and that you have the compliant number of chargers. Second is the core criteria. This is where we evaluate your qualifications, whether or not you have experience installing direct current fast charging stations, what the uptime is for those past stations that you have. Just getting a better sense of your team's qualifications. There's the technical piece of the proposal. So we'll ask for site plans, some of the specs of the chargers that you plan on installing. And then we also would like to get an understanding of your financial capabilities. Like I was talking about earlier, this is a reimbursement grant. So we need to make sure that you have capital up front to be able to cover the initial cost before being reimbursed. And since there's a 20% match, we do want to make sure that you have that ready to go before we sign an agreement with you. Lastly is the bonus criteria, and these will come into play if we get 2 otherwise equally scoring applications. And this will be where you talk about amenities. Is there Wi-Fi? Is there customer service available 24/7? Someone available on site to help people charge? We want to know about your future proofing, if there will be space or electricity capability to add on chargers in the future, and whether or not you have renewable energy on site. So this is the breakdown of what the process looks like. After we receive the applications, we will score all of them and come up with 1 or 2 highest scoring proposals per exit. We will review them. If there's anything else that we need from you, any questions that we still have, there will be a 2-week information exchange period where we can request additional information for you. That is when you would submit your best and final offer if that's necessary. We will then rescore and re-rank the applications to get a final ranking. And then at that point, we will contact the apparent successful proposer with the conditional award, which they have the ability to choose to move forward to or not. So if they don't, we can move on to another highly ranked applicant that maybe we didn't go for previously. So after the conditional award letter is sent and signed, we'll start putting together the preconditions of award and preparing the draft or the final grant agreement. Once the grant agreement is signed, we will then send you a notice to proceed, and we anticipate this starting this winter. So this is a sample timeline. This is where we anticipate this process going for now. So the deadline to submit written questions is September 27th at 5 p.m. We're going to do 2 rounds of posting responses to the questions that we receive. So we'll do one at the midway and one at the end so that we get to some of the more urgent questions first. You don't have to wait around for us to answer them. So we'll post written responses by September 2nd and October 7th, depending on when your question was submitted. The RFP will close October 21st at 5 p.m. And then we will spend this fall and winter reviewing proposals, issuing conditional awards, and working towards getting grant agreements executed. Okay, at this point, we will go to the question and answer period. If you have not already, please submit your questions in the Q&A function, and we can get to those. Okay. I'll answer this. We got a question. The original announcement of awards listed 9. Will the state be providing an updated list of awardees in order to better screen for potential conflicts at sites proposed in round 1B? Yes. This week, I will make sure that I update our webpage to include the addresses of all 9. We're waiting on the last 3 to submit their signed letter. So we should get those in the next couple weeks, and we will be releasing those addresses.
Becca, there's 2 questions in the chat. Maybe there's 3. First question is, so this means that up to 16 EV can be charged at one time.
Okay, no, it is 4 ports, so 4 cars charged at one time.
All right, and then the next question in the chat is, if our location is located close to one of the 12 sites that was awarded in phase 1, does that hurt our score?
We do not have anything in the scoring that evaluates based on site location compared to other sites. At this point, we're trying to open as many stations as possible. So no, it will not hurt your score.
Okay, and then we also have, can you please list the eligible highways or those AFCs one more time?
Sure. It is I-84, I-91, I-95, I-395, and Route 7.
There might be more questions in the Q&A. Can you see that on your end?
Yes, let me try to answer some of these. Okay, we got our 5-year parts and labor warranties invoiced as an upfront expense and eligible reimbursable cost.
So we've gotten this question a couple times now, and we've tried to give the same answer every time. It may be a part of our FAQ document. If not, it will be in this next round. We are able to pay warranties that cover upfront, that are charged upfront, that cover that 5-year period. However, if we find that that warranty truly is just operation and maintenance and isn't a warranty, then it will not be an eligible expense. So if the document is truly a warranty, or if that coverage is a warranty, then that's what we will be able to cover if charged up front and not on an annual basis.
Thank you. Okay, we got, how many sites does Connecticut DOT anticipate awarding this round? We don't have an anticipated number of sites. However, we are anticipating spending $20 million. Is there a specific charging company that the state is recommending or could help our score? No, there is not. Previously submitted Connecticut NEVI applicants can use previous forms if expected cost and equipment is the same. So some of the application form has changed from the previous round. A lot of it will still remain the same. So if you did put in an application in the previous round and were not funded, we do welcome you to submit again. However, be sure to double check the application form because some of the required information is a little bit different. Has round one been fully funded? No. In the sense of we anticipated awarding $11 million in round one, and I believe we awarded roughly 7. So there will be more funding available in future rounds. The way these rounds are set up, that money is not, sent back or anything. We didn't lose that money because we didn't award it in round one. We will be able to use it in other rounds.
Okay, and Rebecca, I'm gonna read this one and answer it.
Okay.
There's a statement in here that starts, if the goal of this round is to fill the gaps to meet the every 50 miles NEVI requirement, wouldn't proximity to existing stations be a relevant criteria? And yes, it would be. We, as Rebecca mentioned, we have a couple gaps in our corridors where we need to meet that 50-mile requirement. And, the state has already committed to funding those 12 locations. We will be evaluating some of the distance between locations, but with $20 million available, we know that we will get a significant more projects from this round than are needed to fill those gaps. So we will be scoring them according to the criteria laid out in the application, and expecting that a lot of those will fill those gaps, and then some. There'll probably be stations located much closer than 50 miles from each other, which is a good thing. Will make that network much more drivable. But if we do have to make a decision toward the end of choosing one site over the other, we expect that to be at the tail end of that $20 million that remains, and plug in those gaps. I believe there's a statement in the RFP itself that does address that.
Thanks, Emily. I may have misspoke on my previous answer then. That clears it up. Let's see.
I can read this next one for you. Is there any
Okay.
evaluation of the match funding source? For example, is private equity considered better than citing another grant?
Yes, having cash in hand will score better than grant funding, particularly if the grant funding is not yet secured. I should say any cash in hand, regardless of where it comes from, is better than theoretical cash.
Okay, next question. Are travel plazas along I-95 eligible for funding?
Yes, they are. Assuming they are within 1 drivable mile of I-95, which they would be.
And then we got a question. Is there a map available that shows where existing awarded sites are?
We do have that. We can put that on our website. Okay, I think this is just a clarifying question to a previously answered question about whether previous applicants can use previously submitted forms. Can these forms be used for other sites with similar conditions? I think that is a case-by-case answer. Certainly not the narrative section of the application forms, but if it's the form where you're filling out, your number of employees and your good standing for the state of Connecticut to do business with us, then those forms would be the same and can be reused. Okay, I think
Not
that's
seeing
all of
any more.
our questions. Okay, thanks everybody again for joining us. My email address is in the chat if you come up with any other questions. Again, it's ct-dot-evplanning@ct.gov. So you have until September 27th to submit any more questions. Thank you all for joining us today.